Well, I reckon it's about time to get this old Bronco 2 ready to get back on the road. This old Bronco 2 just has too much potential in order for it to just sit back and sit in the weeds and not be on the road again. As we all know, they have the famous issue of when they get hot, they just go kaput and the head gaskets blow. But I got a head gasket kit from Rock Auto, and in order to take care of all the gaskets on the upper end, I got some PB Blaster so I could spray it on those manifold bolts. This stuff ain't the best stuff in the world, but I believe in it. I had a .22 rifle one time that had rust all over the barrel. I sprayed this stuff on there. It ate it off and gave it a nice looking, antique look after that. So this stuff eats it up. I believe in it. We have a long journey ahead of us, and I don't know. We have a long journey ahead of us, and I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I got one of those Haynes manuals. I think it's what it's called. I don't know. It's one of the manuals that tell you how to get to what you're getting to and how to do it. So another issue we're looking at is we don't know if the heads are cracked, and obviously if their heads are cracked and we can see it, then this is going to stop production, for a little bit, because then I'm going to have to order the heads. But we haven't even got to that point yet. So I think the main goal is try to get the heads off, inspect them, see if they're okay. And if they're okay, we're going to rebuild them ourselves, as cheap as we can, and then put the suckers back in there, bolt them down. Last time I tried to do this, it was on a 4-cylinder. I didn't know what I was doing or getting myself into, and it just didn't work. So we'll see how it goes with 2 heads this time instead of 1. Double trouble. Mess up on one side, maybe I can get the other one right. Who knows? Welcome to the channel. So if you watched the first episode that introduced this Bronco 2, you'll find me at a trailer park trying to get this thing running, knowing that it had head gasket issues, but still seeing if it would, drive home, because sometimes you can get lucky enough that they'll run good enough to where you can drive home. It wasn't the case on this one. You literally filled it up full of antifreeze and started, and it had so much pressure built up in it that a leak sprung over here in the heater hose. And it's got one of those radiator caps that releases the pressure before you open it up. I guess emergency, I don't know. I hate that junk and I want to get rid of it, but I guess it was on there for a reason. I went to go lift that valve up, and as soon as I lifted it up, all that pressure came out of it. And as soon as I opened up the cap, everywhere. I mean, it had so much pressure against it. It was like dropping a couple of Mentos and some Diet Cokes, shaking it up, and then trying to open up the lid yourself. It just goes everywhere and spurts out. It was terrible. The first thing I guess we need to do is we're going to take this intake off right here, since it's the first thing that's in our way. And we're going to try to get to those manifold bolts as best we can to go ahead and get them sprayed down, because that is what I'm really worried about. That and the heads being cracked is the 2 biggest issues. But, if we break off, a couple bolts in the heads, then we're stuck trying to, figure out a good way of how to get those broke off bolts inside of there out. I don't work on fuel injected stuff that much, and I really don't do a lot of, extensive gasket work. I haven't before. So this is a new journey for me. But if everybody else can do it, then I believe that, I could probably do it too. Maybe just a little ingenuity. But that's enough yapping. Let's get to work. This first thing I need to do is take off this redneck wire. Looks like somebody put on there to keep the hose, I guess, from hitting the belt system. I don't know if They were supposed to have something to hold that thing up, but it don't look like it's hitting it. So I don't know why they would do that. I don't know. Make much sense to me. I don't have to worry about taking off this box. Of course, feels like I don't have to worry about it coming out either. Piece of wire, it looks like somebody hooked to it. Hey, turn no more. Take it off. So, if you ain't got a good place to put these bolts, as long as they're not attached to nothing, just put them right back in where you left them at. Because then you ain't got to worry about them going anywhere. Good God. I believe I'm going to be able to get it with the screwdriver. Nope. What size is that? 10 millimeter. Of course. Should have guessed it. Now, before I get ahead of myself, what we can do is this right here just pops off. That's all it hooks on there with. So this should be about ready to come off. Now, it looks like we could detach it from right there, but honestly, if it's on this cable and if we can move it over to the side, then that's all we need to do. We don't need to really worry about taking it off. Be set over to the side. Pull it right here. And we take those 2 bolts that we had and we put them back in. If you remember, last time when we got this thing started, we had a problem with the throttle sticking. Now look at it. Sticking plumb wide open. Now, of course, it ain't got that spring on there, but it does have a little spring down here that's supposed to help it kick back. We'll see if we can't take that off and get that thing cleaned real good too. Now you're thinking to yourself, why I'm taking the throttle body off the upper intake. Well, it's because I have to do it anyway. That gasket kit that I've got comes with a lot of these gaskets that I can replace. And I might as well just go ahead and take everything that I need off while I'm at it. So I ain't got to worry about doing it later. You do it how you want it. You know, if you want to do it the opposite way, go ahead and get everything tore down, then take it all apart. That's fine. I'm going to do it this way, and who knows? Might end up changing that way later on if I realize which way's better. I think I'm going to have to move that upper radiator hose too, so that would have made it a whole lot easier taking this bolt out. But it's always like me to do it the hard way, ain't it? Alright, what we got here? Looks like we got a hose, a few hoses, 2 or 3 of them. Anyway, let's see. Got an orange one. Got that one. See if we can't get some picks and fix that. Okay, that's not going to help. Bet you this is though. Well, let me take that radiator hose off first. I think I'm working against myself. bless it. Whew. Oh, God. There's like a little tiny vacuum line down there. It goes somewhere. Oh, well, that came off the backside. Even it did the front, but at least it's off. Ew. That don't look too good. Look at the inside of that thing right there. I mean, that is plumb nasty. Gosh, and the inside of this, good Lord, intake is worse. I mean, look at that junk. Good Lord. That is crazy. Yep, smells like the cat was stopped up. We'll have to cut that off. It's at this time that you don't forget that you have 4 bolts that can go back in the upper intake plenum. I guess is what we call this fine device right here. Okay, we got a vacuum hose right here. Be took off. Vacuum hose right there. Be took off. Let's see, we might can leave those vacuum hoses on. Let's see what we can do right here. Let's see. That's loose. Could try to take it loose from that tube that goes down through there. Let's try that. Whoa. I thought that thing was in there. Yeah, I don't believe it's coming off. Gosh, I'm getting some kind of red stuff on me from somewhere. Wonder what that is. I can get to these manifold bolts pretty good right here. Ooh, tell you one thing. It don't look good though. Alright. And my calculation should be correct. The only thing that should be holding on is something that I didn't see, which is 100% correct in my mind. Alright, here we go. Oh. Ooh. Okay. Wires in my way. Alright. And that's off. And that's a broken gasket. Huh. Now, I don't know why they did this. Pretty stupid if you ask me. But they lay all these wires just in front of everything that you really need to take off. And that's just so aggravating. Because it's going to have to probably come off from over here and then lay it all over there. Oh, this is just so stupid. All right, guys, so it's been a few days. I've worked hot and heavy on this Bronco 2, trying to get everything off, and had to end up doing a lot of stuff like unbolting, part of the bracket like to the power steering pump, and then completely taking off the bracket to the alternator. And that Haynes manual, it just guides you in the right direction, but it don't tell you exactly how you're supposed to do all this stuff. And all these wires everywhere, it's a nightmare. And all the sludge and buildup, I'm just going to show you because I can't even put it in words. Now, this is what I'm talking about. All that buildup around the edges. Now, the stuff that you see that's sitting inside the pistons is from where I just had to pull everything out. And I know I should probably put some rags in there and stuff some stuff in there to keep from, the elements getting to it. But this is just what I got for right now. But one thing I can tell you is this thing's been messed in with before, because this is actually a Pro gasket. And I got this same gasket with the gasket kit that I got to put in this thing. Now, I don't really think it was the gasket's fault. This Pro is pretty decent. I believe it was whoever put head gaskets in this thing last. I think they reused the bolts and they didn't change a lot of the gaskets that needed to be changed out, like the one to the upper intake plenum. The lower intake gasket looked like it was replaced, but it was just a head gasket and the lower intake gasket. The rest of them didn't look like it was touched. But I want you to look at the water jackets, I guess is what they're called, for this thing. Look, I mean, I have to push my finger through that and I have to give it some force. And this is the reason why. I mean, look at that. This right here is the reason why this motor overheated and the head gaskets blowed, because of this issue. All those water jackets right there completely stopped up. Now, you ask me why all those holes were stopped up. I can tell you two reasons. Number one, if you're using spring water, tap water, or just water out of a creek, we're all guilty of it, and putting it in these vehicles, what it'll do is all the sediments and everything, after you get done, boiling it a couple times from where you keep on adding it, will cause everything to rust. And then all that buildup gets stopped up in those holes and gets hardened. Number two, say you might have a leak, just a small leak, something that you don't really want to spend bukus of dollars at going and getting it fixed, or, just doing it yourself. You'd rather think of a $10 quick fix that you could do. So you go get some of this, stop leak, or maybe some of this, head gasket stopper, or I don't know, you throw a fried egg in there, some black pepper, and it stops up the heater core and every one of those water jackets. This right here is one of the heads. As you can tell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them broke off on this one side. Now the valves, they look okay. These has been sitting outside a couple of days, so it does have a little bit of moisture, surface rust. But I got something that's coming that's going to be taking care of all this grease, and then I'm going to be cleaning up those surfaces, so they're not going to be sitting out here too long. Look at that. I mean, a hose from somewhere, and then leaves and junk. And then on the inside, it just looked like somebody did not service this vehicle good. And then coming over here to this side, if I flip this up, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I pushed on that one, and then there's one over here. It's the exact same. Now, I got a lot of work ahead of me on trying to get, all this fixed, because I need to do it quick, so that way I can get this thing on the road and actually start running it and using it. I love these Bronco 2s. Man, they're good on gas, and when they're running, you can't stop them. But when they blow a head gasket, you might as well just put them in the back of your yard and do nothing with them until you can fix them, because they're kaput by that time. Well, anything really is, but that's what basically puts a stop to these trucks. That, or, just fuel pump issues, getting enough fuel to it. Other than that, they're pretty much unstoppable, and you can lay into them a lot, and they just take all that abuse. But this is going to be like a part 1, part 2, part 10, part 20 series. And the reason why I'm doing it that way is to kind of shorten my videos down and get more content out there. No, it ain't going to be an hour-long video. Probably going to be like, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. And I didn't get to show you everything, but you're going to see a lot of the whole process that's going to go behind this. And I got something coming from Amazon that's going to help us do this. And if those heads are good, because I'm going to really be able to find out whether they're good or not once I get this one item, then I'm going to use the other items that we bought, and maybe we can improve on it and get a little bit more flow and a little bit more horsepower running this thing, even if it's just a few. I want to try it out, and it'd be great to do it on something like this. So I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure y'all like, tune in, subscribe, share this out, do whatever you can so that way more people can see more of this good old cornbread content. And I guess we'll just see y'all fellers later.